All right, so we are continuing on our read aloud of the insignificant events in the life of a cactus by Dustin Bowling. I'm hoping to finish this book before the end of the year. We'll see. If not, I might be able to get it to you online and you can finish it. We're going to do chapters 19 and 20. Connor, Zion, and I sat outside on the lawn together before school, waiting for the first bell to ring. Connor studied the necklace, while Zion flipped gently through the fragile sketchbook. Every now and then, a brittle piece of paper would flake off, and we'd all gasp. Zion finally found the page that had the sketch of the necklace. "That's definitely it," he said. Connor held up the necklace. "The metal is nearly black, in the sketch it's light gray. My mom told me that's because it's tarnished silver," I said. "Look at the shape of the stone and that little vein running through it. It's definitely the same." "But why was it up on the hill?" Connor asked, and then barked. I shrugged. "I have no idea." Zion looked from me to Connor and then back again, his eyes huge with alarm. "What?" I asked him. He covered his mouth and shook his head like what he was thinking was too terrible to say. "What?" I said again. "Dead body," Zion whispered. Connor and I looked at each other. "I don't know," I said. "What other explanation could there be?" said Zion. "Someone murdered this necklace-wearing person and buried her body up on the hill. Why else would it be up there?" Connor looked at me wide-eyed. "Rodeo clown mafia," he said and snickered. I shook my head at him and tried to remain serious. "I spend a lot of time up on that hill, and I've never seen any sign of a grave or anything." "It could have happened a long time ago," Zion said. "Maybe bushes and cactuses and stuff have grown over it. I've heard a dead body makes good fertilizer." Connor and I laughed. "That's so gross," I said. "Where could you have possibly heard that?" Zion scratched at his chin. "I think I read it in a comic book." "Oh, well, then it's definitely true," I said. Zion tore a handful of grass out of the ground and threw it at me. I shook it out of my hair. "I guess there could be a dead body up there, but you'd think I'd feel all creepy when I was up there if there was. I'd feel like a chill or a shudder or a—" I thought for a moment. "Or a tremble." Connor smiled and barked, and then almost immediately we heard another bark from a nearby crowd. Connor's face dropped. I turned and glared at the group of kids standing near us. Several of them were covering their smiles with their hands as they snuck glances at us. I turned back to Connor. "You shouldn't put up with that." Connor's shoulders just slumped. "What am I supposed to do about it?" Normally, I would never want to call attention to myself, but there are times when my temper overwhelms my desires and it to go unnoticed. I stood up and I shouted at the group, "Whoever's doing that, that's not nice, and you should be ashamed of yourself." I sat back down on the ground with a humph, and Connor and Zion looked shocked at my behavior. "There," I said. "That's what you should do." Chapter 20. Connor and I ate lunch with Zion behind the office most days now. Connor still hardly ate anything, but he took a bite from time to time. Sometimes he spit his food out, but he always tried to aim it at the brick wall. Every now and then, though, Zion and I would have to do some serious ninja blocks when a pretzel or grape flew at our heads. I sat with the boys on the sidewalk by the office as Zion said, "I think I might audition for the Wizard of Oz." He blushed so hard I could see the red coloring his brown cheeks. "Oh, yeah, what part?" I asked him. He shrugged. "I don't know." I thought for a moment. "You would make a good lion." He frowned. "Because I'm overweight?" "No, because you need to find your courage." I nudged him with my foot. "I'm only half serious." He smiled. "Have you guys ever done anything like that?" "What, audition for a play?" Connor asked. "Yeah." Connor looked at Zion like he was crazy. "Yeah, right," he said. I frowned at Connor. You'd probably be a good actor," I said. "The only part I could ever play," Connor said to me, "would be the part of an annoying, yappy dog." I didn't know what else to say about that, so I told them my school back in Kansas held this contest in sixth grade. Anyone could submit their own ideas, plot, and script for a play. The winner got to have their play produced. I submitted the most awesome script of all time. Wait for it, I said dramatically. Down and Dirty in Kansas City. Zion snorted, and a little of his juice box came out his nose. He wiped it away. What was that about? I cleared my throat. Down and Dirty in Kansas City is the story of a completely awesome ninja named Harold, who also lives in Kansas City and fights criminals with the help of his trusty pig named Gerald. So Harold and Gerald are the crime-fighting duo who will stop a gang of criminals from robbing a bank. They also fall in love. Not with each other, with a beautiful vixen lady and a lady pig. The play ends in a double wedding for Harold and Gerald and their partners. Connor giggled and Zion choked on a little more of a juice box. The climax of the play, I continued, was supposed to be when Harold and Gerald face off with their main villain. I tossed my hair back, played by me, and the exciting battle to death ends and Harold and Gerald ripping my arms off and blood spattering everywhere while I dropped dead to the floor. I had thought we could borrow those fake arms again from Emily's room. Did you win? Zion asked. I totally didn't win. Plus, we had to have a meeting with my parents. They had read my play already, and they thought it rocked, so they were a little confused by the whole thing. When I tuned out most of the meeting, but I believe the words gruesome and horrifying may have been said. Anyway, this kid named Luke won the contest. His play was called Desert Moon Over the Desert. I found it a little redundant, but I guess the judges thought his work was spectacularly creative. What can you expect from the same people who thought Down and Dirty in Kansas City was a stinker? Really, Connor agreed. What was his play about? Desert Moon Over the Desert was about a moon, seriously, that looks down over the desert. I'm not kidding, and falls in love with the coyote. I'm totally serious. And the coyote falls in love with the moon, and of course the moon and the coyote can never be together, so the coyote howls and eventually befriends a cactus, and everything turns out all right. Were you in it? Zion asked. Yeah, I played the cactus. My costume was drab green, so I wasn't bright enough on the stage, and we had to spray the whole thing down with sparkle spray paint, and this giant paper moon on the stage with the lights behind it, so I was all sparkly and shiny from the light and the moon. It was actually pretty cool. I loved being on the stage, but I had the most ridiculous lines. I still remembered them. I recited my line just as I had done in the play. Coyote, the moon is many miles away, but I am here on earth with you. Coyote, my new friend, don't prick yourself on my needles when you give me a friendly hug. Coyote, if you were ever thirsting to death, I would give you my life that you may drink my treasured cactus juice. Zion giggled. That's awful. I'm sure you'll have way better lines in The Wizard of Oz, I said. Gosh, I do hope so. No, really, you'll love it. When the play ended and everyone clapped and cheered for us, I felt like I could do anything. I even thought maybe I could have a career as an actress. Well, why couldn't you? Connor asked. I gaped at the boys. How many limbless movie stars do you know? Neither one of them had said anything, and I shook my head and looked at Connor. By the way, Mom said I could come home with you after school, and she'd pick me up before dinner. Really? His face brightened. I thought you weren't allowed to go to anyone's house where they didn't know their parents. My mom said it's okay since she knows you, and your mom works so much and sleeps in the evening. I guess my mom can't really get a good chance to meet her with all that's going on. She is going to be home. Right. She's going to be home after school, right? Connor shrugged and barked. Yeah, she'll be home sleeping. She worked a 12-hour shift last night. Has she ever thought about trying to get shifts during the day? I asked. She has to take what she can get right now, Connor said, and this job pays well. He looked at Zion. You want to come over too? Zion shook his head. Dentist appointment. He grimaced. The next support group meeting is coming up, I told Connor. Support group meeting? Zion asked. Connor grinned. Don't you mean social event, Avon? I glared at Connor while I spoke to Zion. It's just a little group that meets at the hospital every month. Sorry, Zion, Connor said. For freaks only. Hey, I cried. No one there is a freak, especially not you. Connor blinked his eyes and shrugged and barked. If you say so, Avon. I let a loud breath. Anyway, my mom's already planning on taking us. Connor raised his eyebrows. Such peer pressure. I guess I'll have to go in that case. Yes, you do. All right. That's our chapters today. Chapters 19 and 21. Can't wait to see your visualizations.